Hi everyone, welcome back to Ranging with Judy. Today I'm going to show you a ball canning jar. They still seem to be really hot. Everybody is using them still. And I wanted to show you how to use an armature. I fashioned this armature with willow from the ditch. And you can use anything that you want. Now, if you look at Merriam-Webster, I had to write this down, an armature is a framework serving as a supporting core for sculpture. And in floral design, an armature helps support your flower arrangement. And it also gives it, a new little texture and a little bit of motion and a little bit of maybe a woodsy, unless you use wire or something a little more contemporary. It gives it a little bit more of a gardeny effect. So what I did was I went out to the ditch and I cut willow branches like this. And then I just took and stripped the leaves off. And you could, now I stripped all the leaves off and I bent these so that they were in loops. But you could strip the leaves off and you could just make your armature just branching instead of curvy things. You could just use, several pieces and hook them together and then arrange into that. You don't have to, an armature can be any kind of a form, Sometimes I'll do one in a long, narrow container where I'll have branching on this side and branching on this side and then a cross piece in the middle and it holds everything together. So an armature is just a support system for you. And then, so what I did, after you, get all the leaves off, you need to be kind of careful when you're bending it. You want to gently warm it up with your fingers and your hands, and then bend it gently. Because if you just try to just do this without, getting it softened up a little first, it'll break. So you want to kind of finesse it a little bit. And you could use, I cut some grapevine this morning too, and I mean, you could take this. If I had left it in water, I probably could have used it fresh, but just twist it into little curvy shapes, and then I'm gonna show you how to hook them together. But you could have something of this nature to put in your vase. It doesn't have to be what I just did. So the way I hooked all these together was I took 22 gauge wire. I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see. And floral tape. And floral tape is, as my friend Eunice from Hickson's always used to say in front of the class, floral tape is nothing more than crepe paper that's been impregnated with wax. And so it's this paper, but it has the wax in it, and it stretches, and also the warmth of your fingers adheres it to itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this so that the tape rolls off the top, and I'm going to place my wire on top of the tape, bend it over, and then just start pulling with this hand and stretching with this hand. And here's my wire all covered with tape. It has a little better grip than just a plain old wire, and it looks a little better. You can make it look like little leaf tendrils or something. So here's another time of doing it just to show you. And once more, I put the wire on top of the tape. There isn't one side that's stickier than the other. It's all sticky. So there's no top side or bottom side. It just rolls off the roll easier if it's coming from the top of the roll. So I just bent these the way I wanted them, and then I tied them together, and then I just took a pencil, and just rolled the wire on the pencil so that it looked more like a grapevine tendril or something instead of just a piece of wire sticking out. So then I went out in my garden, and of course I cut too much, because that's just what I do. In the flower shop, I have a price and I figure out what I can put in it, and I go to the cooler and I just get that. But when I go out in the garden, I just go a little crazy. I was looking more for texture and colors. I don't have a whole lot blooming right now, and I thought it'd be fun to show you what you could do with not a whole lot blooming. So I went out and I have these lovely allium that are spent. But they have a really nice texture. You can see the florets are gone, but they've got a seed pod on them that's very interesting. I have some catmint blossoms. I have some lovely velvety lamb's ear foliage. Well, these are going to be blossoms. I have some wheat that is just blooming right now and still very green. I have some Artemisia that has a little bit of blossom on it too. And I have some hyacinth, or not hyacinth, hosta leaves here. Then I also went out in the field and cut some dock. This is just a wild plant. You've probably seen it. It turns brown in the late summer, and it grows on the roadsides, and it's just got a lovely texture and a really nice color. If I had left this out here to grow for a while, it would be much thicker and much more vigorous. But I cut some that was kind of young. So that's what I think I'm going to work with. I have a couple other things. I have a few peonies from my sister, and I have some snow on the mountain, but I'm thinking I'm going to just go with this cool texture here and this, you know, a little more unique look. So, canning jar. Here we go. This is a ball canning jar or a mason jar. You could use a mayonnaise jar. It doesn't have to be, you know, or you could use a vase. So I have these really beautiful kind of blue-green hosta leaves that I'm just going to tuck in. I want to try and tuck them in between these loops of branch so that they hold the whole thing into place where I want them to be. So I'm going to just make a little bit of a collar around the vase to start with. And this should kind of hold everything together. This might have to go in between those. Nope, it didn't. All right. There we go. And I'm hoping that some of these will show up by the time I'm finished, but you never know. I kind of tend to get carried away. So then my next step would probably be to place these lamb's ears in, just because I want to have some tall texture. And so I'm going to put a line of them going across this little pattern. Let's see. Put one down here. And it's not a straight line, it's a zigzaggy line. All right, and then I think I want to get my allium in there before it gets too full, because I really want to use these, and I have 4 of these also. I want this larger one to be closer to the base. And then I'll just kind of spiral it up. This is going to be a little more unique than your average mason jar arrangement, I think, just because of the materials that we're using. Stand up, okay. And then I need one over here on this side. All right, so it's a little, well, this might be a little too tall. Let's, well, maybe it wants to be there. And maybe this one wants to be the tall one. Okay, so we kind of have a spiral of those going through. Now, around the edge, we like to have, you know, a circle. And it usually takes 5 5 placements to make a circle. If you have 4, you've made a square. So I'll take these catmint and I'll tuck these in. Around in a circle. All right, get in there. There we go. One more. So it's already getting very, very textural and unique. Okay, so I have 2 pieces of catmint left. I think I'll just bring them up into the top of the arrangement in between the allium blossoms to kind of finish that pattern. This is going to be kind of a subtle arrangement if I keep it in these purples and greens and grays. I have this really lovely striped grass here. I might add this at the end just to give it a little bit of whimsy. So I'm going to put the Artemisia in next, and I think that will just be tall and airy too. I kind of like the way this, it doesn't look like your typical ball canning jar arrangement. And you can do this with so many different things. Don't just say, oh, well, I don't have Artemisia in my yard, so I can't do that. There are so many different types of foliages, and some things are kind of, you know, unlikely that you might not consider using. I have a ditch out front, and I get cattail grass all the time and use it, and it's really, it's really fun, and you wouldn't think that you would, you know, want to go out and get cattail grass, but start looking at things with a little bit different eye, things that you can use in a fresh arrangement that aren't necessarily flowers, because it kind of sparks creativity, and it kind of makes, you know, gives you a challenge and makes it more interesting. Now I have this dock. I'm going to take a couple of the pieces of foliage off, and I'm going to do kind of the same thing with the dock that I did with the gray-green Artemisia here. And I can see that I'm getting very full here. With the armature, you don't need as much material as you do without it, because it takes up some of that space, and it also supports the flowers so nicely. So I'm going to do a line of these right here, and then one over here on this side. Then if I wanted, I could add that wheat coming out, because that's got a really skinny stem, and that would give us some really lovely texture. And if I wanted, I could have made this a tiny little arrangement with the branching, the loops of branching poking out, and it would have been just another way to do it, you know. So I'm going to put these in because I am in love with these. This is fresh wheat, and I actually cut it out of the field this morning. I am sure that my farmer friend will not miss these few stems. Now, if I went into his field and cut a lot of it, I might be in trouble. But I just cut a few stems. He'll never miss them. So I'm going to get these in here somehow. I'm getting to the point where I can't really see it go in. That gives me a little bit of drama and a little bit of texture, a little bit of whimsy even. This is really lovely. And you might not have thought of, cutting fresh green wheat either, but it does, add a lot to the arrangement. All right, and then I think just one more little group of that and a couple pieces of that striped grass, and I think we have this thing finished. All right, there we go. And then this just will give me a little bit more, repeating that color from the lamb's ears and the Artemisia. And again, giving it a little tiny bit of whimsy and a little bit of wildness. I need one more taller one. Is that a little bit taller? It's very new still, so it's not real tall yet. But I think I can tuck this one right in here and it'll finish it. Now, if I wanted, I could stick this thing in a bigger vase and I could add more to it. I could add the peonies and the snow on the mountain. It would be, a fun look. But unfortunately, I didn't bring a bigger vase, and I think we're running out of time, aren't we? So give it a whirl. Try making an armature. Try going out and just look for texture and color rather than blooms. And if you enjoyed watching this video, could you like and share and maybe subscribe for more gardening goodness? I would really appreciate it. Thank you. And any comments, I always answer. So if you have any questions, just send me a comment, okay? Thank you for watching.